Hello and welcome to the third edition of the Build of the Week, and this time, well, I took a look on the build compendium as usual and I noticed something peculiar. There was no Blademaster build, and well, thinking back, the most popular and overpowered build was the Blademaster, the one that most of us do know very well. So actually I decided to revive this Blademaster and well, give it a shot, see how it does. Right now in build 23 the level cap is level 40, and let's see the old Blademaster. Alright guys, getting right into it right here, and as you can see there's nothing unusual around the build itself. It's basically the old build a little bit updated by myself because, well, turns out we got some extra points left. And what did I do with these extra points? I shall also explain the build for the people that do not know how this works. But what did I do with the extra points? Well, I put 1 point in here because I thought it's really worth it with the +4 that we got. I also invested 1 more into execution, and I decided to get Ring of Frost for the extra CC, and I maxed military conditioning as well as getting these two that were not present in the original variant of this build. So how does it work? Well, it all revolves around execution, and as you can see, execution is at the end of the Nightblade, so we have to invest 50 points into the Nightblade tree, which is a lot. And well, execution has a 20% chance to be used. It does 364% weapon damage, 124 cold, 30% reduction to enemies' health, and -33 reduced targets resistances for 5 seconds. And the reason why you shouldn't go for more than 8 out of 8 with execution is that after 8, well, the chance to be used does not go up. So the only thing that did go up by me investing 1 more point into it was the weapon damage. And well, that's pretty much it. I could also get like remove 1 point and then get this one, Idala's Hidden Hand, which might not actually be that bad of an idea for the slow, the extra CC, crowd control and all that. And well, what do we have here? Maxed dual blades. Dual blades is basically our enabler. This ability is well, enables us to use dual wielding to get two one-handed swords. And well, you might laugh, but I got only 1 point in here, and you will see how I actually turned out with 9 out of 8 with only 1 point. So 1 point in Bilgothian Shears, 1 point in Amarasta's Quick Cut, 1 point in Whirling Death. You can put 1 point in there because of the +4, it might actually be worth it. And in here I have 5 points. Alright, well, we need a skill to use with execution, although melee attacks do work just as well. And the skill that I'm talking about is Lethal Gambit. But Lethal Gambit itself, well, it's not that great. It's not great at all. But with Amarasta's Blade Burst, it removes the 3 target maximum thing that it originally had, and it gives us a 4-meter radius, which you will actually see in the gameplay videos. Alright, the reason behind Ring of Steel. Well, as said before, there are plenty of small monsters, small mobs in the game, like spiders, like whatever you want, and well, you don't really want to use your big stuff with them. Although this is not the case for this character, but this will be our main AoE. It does have a cooldown, it's not that much, but with this you can one-shot pretty much every small mob that comes at you. And I decided to get Ring of Frost to freeze the target for 3 seconds. This works with pretty much everything. Shadow Strike, this is for movement, and I put 1 point in here because, well, 16% skill cooldown reduction and 381 poison damage over 3 seconds. That sounds pretty good for 1 point. We got Pneumatic Burst for healing, and well, it has a buff as well. Breath of Belgothian that goes with it, and Shadow Dance for, well, 8% chance to avoid melee attacks and projectiles. That's really good. Plus 32 defensive ability for just 1 point. Alright, up next we have Veil of Shadow. Now you could invest some extra points in here. This Veil of Shadow is defensive, but I did max Knight's Chill, which is actually offensive, but the 42 cold damage is not what really makes it good. That sucks. What makes it really good is the minus resistances to monsters that it applies. Minus 38% pierce resistance and minus 53% cold resistance, which is a lot. It's really worth to go for it. Next we have Phantasmal Armor. Again, 1 point, it really does the job. Anatomy of Murder, same thing, really good for 1 point. Blade Barrier, which after the introduction of Arcanist actually kind of lost interest in this skill because it requires us to stay put. As you can see here, we cannot move, we cannot do anything, but nonetheless it is really good last resort. It will heal you, and it will also deal some reflected damage to the mobs around you. Alright, with this we wrapped up the Nightblade tree, and we're going into Soldier. Now, the first one is Cadence, which is our spammable ability. We just spam Cadence while Lethal Gambit is off cooldown, is on cooldown. And we have Markovian's Advantage, 1 point. Fighting Spirit, I did get this to 3. I think it's a good idea to get this to 3. Then here's Will. Again, activates when health drops below 30%. It's really good for the points invested. And Military Conditioning that I did eventually max for some extra survivability. And with this we are wrapping up the build itself, and we're going to go into items. Alright, let's start with the obvious. We have Duelist Saber, which used to be a lot better, but still, I still like to use Duelist Saber, although there might be some rares that are better than them. And in this particular Duelist Saber I have a Cold Stone, and the reason for that is the Chill Aura that it gives me. And in the other Duelist Saber I have Vicious Spikes for the Piercing Aura. Next we have Mask of Delirium that gives me +1 to all skills. I actually decided to get the Mask of Delirium, although I wasn't really sure about it, but I do think it's an easy way out. There are better rares, most definitely, but the +1 to all skills, I kind of like it, and I think it's worth it. Alright, I did not want to give up the Warp Shard that is in the original build, because I still like 13% of attack damage converted to health, and the main thing that is going to keep us alive is the Leech. As you can see, resistances, well, we got a little bit of everything, but we did not have them maxed, and that is something you can toy about. You can modify the resistances with the components, with some additional pieces of gear. Our damage comes from execution, and it's not that important to, you know, gather up a lot of physical, a lot of pierce. You can just rely on execution and it will do the job for you. But I decided to make this particular Blademaster as offensive as I could without neglecting the resistances altogether. But I think I did a pretty good job with it. What changed? I decided to go to Blackwatch Seals, and well, this is not a great decision, I can tell you right now, but well, as I said, I decided to go full offensive, and Black Watch Seal does the job. It's full offensive, I can use everything in there, plus the Bulgothian Cheers is great. But I did keep the Frozen Hearts that were in them originally for some defense. Doomforge Breastplate still here with the Hallowed Ground, +1 to Nightblade, nothing really out of the ordinary. We got a Doomforge Breastplate for the Vitality Resist. You could go some other chest if you want even more offensive, but I do like to have some Vitality Resistance lying around. I did change the pants with Hermit's Legwards. Lately I really like the Hermit's Legwards. I think they're great, and even though I do not benefit from the 4% experience gain, I still think this is a great item, that it's really still viable. And the component in them is an Ancient Armor Plate with +6% health. Got my Slaughter Relic, +2 to Blade Trap. It's not useful at all because we do not have Blade Trap, but the Slaughter is absolutely the best relic that you can get. Again, Physics Utility Pack, nothing out of the ordinary. I have Bloodletters Ranger's Badge, and I decided to actually keep this one. I've had it before. In them is a Vicious Jawbone, completion bonus 7% elemental resist. I still, well, the resistances were really low, and I decided to compensate with some completion bonuses. The reason why I chose this particular medal is, well, 10% total damage, 10% bleeding, 4% of attack damage converted to health, leech. That's the reason why Slaughter is absolutely the best, and of course the +1 all skills in Nightblade, but the 9% leech is absolutely great. As well as some attack speed. Actually, this character benefits from attack speed, not cast speed, as most of the builds that I did or that are out there, they do benefit from cast speed, not attack speed. But this one, attack speed is really good here, because the more we attack, the more chance we have for execution to proc. Alright, I did replace the boots. I got myself some Dreadnought foot pads. The physical damage is great, defensive ability, movement is a bit low, but I can deal with that. Physical resistance, pierce resistance, +1 to blitz, +2 to blindside is relevant. That does not help me at all. And I decided to keep the Mark of the Traveler because, well, the Mark of Mogdragon does not really offer me anything. The plus elemental damage from it is absolutely useless for this character, except for Knight's Chill, but that is pretty much irrelevant when you put it in balance with execution. Alright, gloves. I have Handguards of Redemption, again a new item, requires level 40. Physique, offensive ability, 10% attack speed, increase armor by 4%, 27 reduced stun duration, and 107 acid retaliation. This item is not particularly great for this build, but the attack speed is really nice, and some offensive ability. And something that you might find peculiar, I have an Unholy Inscription in here. You can go for something else might be better for damage, but I still like the Unholy Inscription for the vitality and bleeding resist with a completion bonus of +6% health. I did find these shoulders, Formidable Hinterland shoulder plates of balanced steel. I decided to keep at least one item with balanced steel. I used to have 2 along with my old legs, but I decided to keep at least 1, and the reason for that, the granted skills Ring of Steel has a 2% chance when hit by melee attacks to proc. By itself, it's going to proc, it's not going to cost you a cooldown, it's just going to be there, just proc it. And, well, it sort of procs quite often. It's still a 2% chance, but it does the job, and when it happens, it's absolutely great. And again, why I chose this item: 16% physical damage, 10% pierce damage, physique, cunning, health, energy regeneration, 9% constitution, and 5% physical resistance. They are all good, it's not a useless stat in there. And the component mutated scales as usual, health, armor, and the completion bonus for more health. Alright, well, with this we sort of wrapped up all the items, and well, I'm sure that this build is not unfamiliar for most of you. It's been out there for quite a bit, and it used to be the best build out there in Grim Dawn. Right now I am not sure if this is hardcore viable. I have talked a bit on the forums. Some people said that it does not really do the job right now in Act 3, and I sort of agree. There are some issues in Act 3 for this particular build because it's really melee, it's pure melee, and you have to get close to stuff that tends to, well, damage you from distance. That's one of the reasons why it might be that hardcore viable. But honestly, I do think that with a little bit more careful gameplay, with some adjusted items and components, get them resistances up, because, well, resists are the only issue right here. You can ditch some damage and rely a bit more on execution. I really think that this character can do hardcore quite fine. It was designed originally for hardcore, and I think it can still do it. So, what makes this Blademaster so special? Well, the ability to just skip everything and go for one targeted monster. Just do it as efficient as possible, with survivability being pretty good, and well, we're relying on the leech right now because the damage is insane. The single target damage and a little bit of AoE, but it does the job. But the single target damage is absolutely retarded. It's insane, okay? I've never seen a character that has more single target damage than this Blademaster build. And I hope you guys are going to check the gameplay videos and see what I'm talking about. And well, I'm going to wrap this third edition of the build of the week, and I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I shall see you all next time.